Hello guys, Prosperity Works here. Welcome to this channel, welcome to this video. I really want to make this video because it's crucially important. You understand the law of attraction is not what you think it is. It definitely works and it has its implementations, but it doesn't work the way you think it works. I agree with some parts of the law of attraction, they are effective. I've seen it work in my experience. But the broader part of the law of attraction is useless. It's misconstructed, it has no evidence to back it up, and it's misleading. It's very important to talk about these subjects because it's, I believe, personally, dangerous to believe in a law which promises an outcome, but it doesn't work this way. So it promises an outcome, but it will not give you the outcome, no matter how vigorously you follow this law. In the first part of the video, I will talk now general stuff, just self-improvement, why it's not effective, what is effective, what's not effective. And in the second part of the video, which is the more interesting, I will then get into exactly the reasons, exactly which parts I disagree with. Why do I disagree? I will get technical and get into the science. I will debunk it. But now listen to it. The law of attraction says that if you have an intentional thought about a very specific result, and you think about it for enough time, you feel inside of you what it's like to this goal to have already happened, to be happening right now, in this very moment. This is what it promises, that it will give you that. If you align yourself with the feeling, with the intention, with the frequency, with the energy, you will get the result. It's inevitable. That's what it says. The part I agree with is that it's evident that if you're positive about your life, you are more likely to take action, which translates to you having confidence and belief in yourself. That's what it means to me. You're just having confidence. The law of attraction, some way or another, may give you confidence to start this YouTube channel. For example, as I am doing now. This is what it may do to you. I also very love the idea that you must define your goals as clear as possible. How do you want to make money? Where do you want to live? What body you want to have? What people you want to know, you want to associate yourself with. This is a brilliant part. Stick to it. Stick to it. Be positive. Be confident. Have nothing stand in your way towards your success. That's all perfect. But the part I highly disagree with the law of attraction is that you simply solely rely on your thoughts, which is not enough. Will you depend your life only on your thoughts, your intentions? I'll tell you what, no matter how try you hard, you will never get a good physique with aligning yourself in the correct frequency or having high energy. What does that even mean, having high energy? You have to go and get it. And people who only want to use the law of attraction to have a great life are lazy. I'll explain to you why. I'll give an example. I listened to a video maybe several days ago or last week about some guru on the law of attraction, and the most common question he has from people, not only this guy but other gurus, they ask the gurus, How do I find love using the law of attraction? How do I find love? This is the most common question. Not how do I make money, not how do I get into a great physique, not anything else, but how do I get love? I suppose these are two categories of people. The first category is the most common one, which will be men, young men, and elderly men who are not putting in the work, who are just lazy. They're not perceptive. They don't see that everything is on social media now. They have to have a social media presence. There are dating apps. The dating apps, also Instagram is a dating app. Everything is a dating app now. You have to present yourself. To even have a shot, you must be in a great physique. You must speak well. You have to have seducing skills. You have to have bread pill knowledge. You need a great lifestyle, and you must have an abundance. But you have to have a way to attract girls. These people, they know that. This is the worst part. They know all about it. That's only the people, the men who have achieved and put in the most effort, get the most results. In this case, girls. These girls chase them. Even if your life is dependent on it, if you don't put effort in yourself to attract girls, you can't attract a girl. When you finally find a girlfriend, guess what's going to happen? She will consume you. She will become your life. That's it. I can't even tell you how many girls I have had some, not a relationship, but I was dating. I don't talk to them anymore. I don't care. You could be the most beautiful girl in this world. I still have an abundance. That's not an issue for me because I put in the effort. I also have the mindset, no worries. I can endure any pain, especially mental pain. But anyway, these people are lazy. They are liars. They're constructing their whole reality around lies. They know what they have to do. They pretend it's not important at the end because they can't achieve it. They mask it, disguise it. And they say, I'm a hustler because they use the law of attraction. Guess what? You're a liar and you're lazy. Admit it. Just admit it. So you can make any change. This is what's dangerous because it teaches people. And I don't know if it's true, but it seems like it. It's a perfect propaganda machine. A mechanism to use the idea of the law of attraction. You can achieve anything just by thinking about it, aligning yourself with the universe. It doesn't work this way. It just doesn't. You see so many people, I would say everyone on this planet wishes to be rich. Especially men. We want respect, we want to be rich, we want to be recognized. But we don't get it by just thinking about it. We don't rely on frequency and energy, wavelength. No, we rely on hard work, never-ending hard work, relentless dedication. That's the only escape. The law of attraction just doesn't work this way. This was the first part of the video, and by the way, the second part will be some women who ask about how to find love. Some women who are not very attractive anymore, maybe in their 30s, 40s, they don't have a lot of options. They're asking for a partner, someone to take them, maybe with kids, maybe not in a good position, yeah, maybe just not in a good position. Female is not very attractive and not that fertile. And with a higher age, they're looking for a partner. They're looking for a guy who they could have had if they were smarter when they were younger, but they are not that attractive. They don't have the cards anymore. So yeah, these are the two categories. All of these people, especially men, lazy. They don't want to put in work. They're arrogant. to the fact they have to put in real work. They have to go cold approach. They have to create social media image. They have to go do a photo shoot, post it. They don't want to hear about it. They'll just relax. Imagine this: you lay on your bed, you relax your hands, your fingers in this guided meditation. You will find love. You will find a partner. You deserve love. Now relax your fingers, relax your quads, relax your heart. Stop your heartbeat. Die. Do absolutely nothing. And expect girls to DM you. 100 beautiful girls will DM you. Rough. And the second part of this video, guys, they say, this will be the more technical part about this video, what exactly what I disagree with. I've never seen a video of anyone do it, talk about what they exactly disagree with, because people usually when they disagree with something, they say, I don't agree with this, but they don't give a specific reason. They just don't. And from a scientific standpoint, okay, the law of attraction, they say frequency, energy, and vibration. These are the most three common terms they use to describe their law of attraction. Let's get into it. I have also never seen a law of attraction guru say exactly what it is. You have to say exactly what it is. It's not scientific. I know it's more spiritual related. I get it. But if it were to work, I don't care. I don't need to know exactly what water does to my body. I don't need to be a biologist to know I should be drinking water. I just need to know how much and when to drink it. Don't tell me about how exactly water works. I know enough. I have to drink. And when to drink. In that regard, if the law of attraction really worked, I would have used it. I would have been the richest person on this planet. I would have used it, but it just doesn't work. Now, let's see. I've never seen anyone describe what kind of energy. Because you see, so many people say energy, energy, energy. What is energy? Do you know what is energy? What pisses me the most, infuriates me to the ultimate limit, is when people talk about scientific stuff that they have no idea about. And even more, you can research it. It will take you less than 2 minutes to type in Google, what is energy? This structure underground emits energy. What kind of energy? You don't even know what energy is. It will take you 5 minutes, literally 5 minutes, absolutely beginner. You can see that your understanding of energy is incorrect. People from the 1600s, maybe 1660, maybe around this time, up till now, even a little bit earlier, started describing energy, started looking for what energy is. Maybe thermal energy, friction, there were some invented words for energy. We didn't know what energy is yet, but now we have a really good understanding of what it is. You can see 500 years, from maybe 400 years since we started researching energy, but science in general, modern science, is since 500 years ago. 500 years ago, you have 500 years of tedious work, people who have given their lives for one theory, for one scientific theory. Everything, constructed machines, devices, billions of dollars. brilliant minds who have devoted their lives to science and to experiments, put equations, test it, and you're ignorant to all of that. You say energy and frequency. Bro. Now, no energy and frequency and vibration in the law of attraction do not work. I don't see how they work. Now listen, we'll begin with the fun part. Energy in the universe. It's not something magical. It's not something that's out there every time. But it also is. It's a closed system. Because there are different types of energies. There are different types of energies. If you look at, now, you can have kinetic energy, you can have potential energy, you can have molecular, nuclear energy, thermal energy, from friction, even sound. What is it? So many different types of energies. When we talk about the law of attraction, I want one person to say, what kind of energy? Electromagnetic? What is it? The strong force, the weak force, the nuclear forces? Even refer to gravity, even though it's incorrect, just say gravity or something. Just say something. And they love to use quantum mechanics. I haven't heard of a person who said in a video with 600,000 subscribers on YouTube says the first law of quantum mechanics says that equals attract. That's what he said. I don't know where he heard that from. That's preposterous to me. I'm curious about science. I'm not a scientist, I'm not an astrophysicist, but I'm curious about astrophysics, quantum mechanics, especially astrophysics. And I've never ever heard that the first law of quantum mechanics is equals attract. What? It's insane. You could have said Schrödinger, you could have said whatever, Maxwell, Planck. Just say something relevant. Even though it may be incorrect, just say some names related to quantum mechanics. But energy, I'll get you through energy to understand what it actually is. To see it's not related to achieving your goals. Now, we'll get to the bottom of it. Listen now. Energy. We'll start with let's say potential energy. If I'm on the 8th floor now, and if I stand on the roof, let's say on the roof of this flat, some scientists may look me from the bottom and say, oh, you have so much potential energy. The potential energy I have, I may use it, I may not use it. I have it because if I were to jump, I have potential energy because of the gravitational pull towards the center of our planet. So you see, the potential energy is something I just have. I don't use it. It's potential. Doesn't matter I have to use it, but yeah, I have it because I wait on this planet. And because if I jump, I will fall because of gravity. Now, because of the curvature of space-time caused by the mass of our planet. But now, we can have kinetic energy, and the kinetic energy is, let's say, I jumped. Yeah, the kinetic energy is just throw something or accelerate something. If I could jump from the floor to the 8th floor, I will have enormous kinetic energy. But this is energy which came from my molecular energy, from my thermal energy of my body, and so on and so on. Now, these are just some types of energy, and for example, our planet received all of its energy. I would say not all of it, okay? close to 100%, 99.99% of its energy from our star, from the sun, because when the solar system was created, first was the sun, and then from the leftover was created the Earth and the other planets. Most likely this is what happened. We don't know exactly what happened, but yeah, then it took some time for our Earth to cool. Ultimately, yeah, millions of years for it to slightly cool, for us to have a life on this planet. But anyway, this was an incorrect example, but anyway. And then, how do I have energy now to speak to you? How does my phone have energy? How does that lamp or this tripod, the lighting on this tripod has energy? Yeah, this is the lighting on the tripod. How does that have energy? It came from the sun, from our star. The food, for example, the food, any plant receives energy from the sun. From the sun, from their mechanics to produce energy. And animals, ultimately, even the dinosaurs, ultimately, all the energy came, even the core of our Earth came from the star. Everything, even molecular energy. When you burn something, why do trees burn? Because they have potential stored molecular energy, which came from the sun. The kinetic energy, the electromagnetic radiation traveling from the sun, which was created in the core of our star, because of the weight it has, and because of the temperature, because the weight created the temperature in our star, which gives a lot of kinetic energy to atoms, to hydrogen atoms, then to two hydrogen atoms. Imagine these two protons collide, and you know protons are positives, they repel, but because it has a lot of heat, it gains a lot of potential energy, kinetic energy, speed, and they collide. It overcomes the repel of the protons. Then they can become into heavier elements, helium-4. Anyway, it takes thousands of years for a single entity of energy to go out of the sun, travel 8 minutes 20 seconds with the speed of light to reach our atmosphere. Then the electromagnetic radiation, the kinetic energy of that electron, will interact with our atmosphere. Millions of electrons coming into our atmosphere, and they rise in a volume of space, in a particular volume of space. They rise the average kinetic energy of the atoms in this volume of space, which is temperature. Now, this is how we have the temperature from the sun through electromagnetic radiation, not through heat, which we experience here, for example, from a stove. No, this is infrared heat, light. But now, anyway, you see how energy is much more than you think of it. How did all the energy, for example, how did the energy for our star come? It came from formations of galaxies. How did the galaxies come? From the early universe, from quasars. A quasi-star, this is some supermassive black hole with creational disk, the brightest object in the universe. This creational disk yeah, this is the brightest object in the universe, but anyway, these are supermassive black holes, which ultimately led the early formations of galaxies. How did they come? Well, from all the particles which were much closer to each other, because the universe had not expanded yet as much, maybe 10 billion years ago. And as we know, the universe is 13.8 billion years old. Maybe 10, 11 billion years ago, this is when the first quasars formed, supermassive black holes. And why black holes? Because there was so much matter, atoms, primarily hydrogen and helium atoms, in fact only these ones, which created the black holes. Because the black holes is just a combination of, when you put together a lot of particles and there is so much mass that it collapses and it has infinite mass. Anyway, we will not get into that, but before that, the Dark Ages, up to 400,000 years after the universe was created, there was no light. There is no way we can look back with any machinery, any telescope, whether, doesn't matter what light we're looking for, doesn't matter if we use redshift telescopes or we use even ultraviolet telescopes, we can't detect it because it's like the core of the star. The photon is going this way for maybe 1,000 years before it escapes from the surface of the sun. Do you know why? Because there are so many atoms acting like mirrors. This way, and it moves with the speed of light, but there's just so many atoms acting like mirrors, it's trapped. But there is no way, the early universe had to expand enough for light to even know itself. But anyway, then I will not get into that, but early in the new universe, there were only quarks, not even atoms, up to, I would say 400,000 years before the universe was, after the universe was created, there were no atoms, because only quarks could exist in this time. The building elementary particles of protons, of electrons, not even protons but electrons, the photons, the most elementary particles, there were only quarks. There are several types of quarks, not several, a lot of types of quarks, and it was a gluon plasma, a quark plasma, if you would. So yeah, and go back to the moment of the creation of the universe. We don't know exactly how the universe was created. I have an idea, I have a suggestion what might have happened. I would say quantum inflatron field, but I'm not really sure if that is the case. I've seen it. I've seen people talk about it. But yeah, in this very moment of the creation of the universe, this is when it was the hottest, it was the densest, in an infinitely small point, maybe the Planck's length, the smallest measurable length, beyond which, if you go smaller, you can't say, by the Heisenberg principle, exclusion principle, you can't say if the particle is here or here. And this was the hottest, the most densest, the highest energetic. This is where anything in the universe came from. including energy. The energy I have now to move my hands, to build my muscles, to live in prosperity, to build prosperity with anything you can imagine on this world, on our planet, anything which happens on this universe, any form of energy came from the Big Bang. Because there was something else. It created the universe. It gave all the energy there is and there will ever be in our universe from the Big Bang. Can you imagine this? That's fascinating. And then the next part. We talked about energy and what it is. I didn't get... Now, I'll talk about energy a little bit more because it's very interesting. We know the famous equation of Einstein. Energy equals mass times the speed of light squared. Yeah, E equals mc squared. Yeah, so what happens here is that we have an energy, yeah, and mass. Energy and mass could be the same. They actually are the same. They are the same. And the c squared is the conversion factor between the two. This is the conversion factor of mass and energy. Then, how do the universe have energy? Just in general. Now, as I said, energy and mass are the same, and the c squared is the conversion factor. If we can find what mass is, then we can know what energy is. I know how the universe, and not me. Don't think of me as some genius. I read about these things. I literally take the fruit from a 500 years labor. I'm just here enjoying their work. Now, there are two ways, actually one way, but I'll talk about the second one later. One way, elementary particles gain weight in the universe. Gain mass. And if they gain mass, that means they also have energy. Do you see? If they have mass, they have energy. We still talk about the law of attraction. I have not forgotten it, but I'm just debunking it. Now, the way the elementary particles, electrons, photons, no, not photons, forget about it, just let's say the electron, for example. Yeah, electrons, protons, quarks gain mass is through the Higgs field. Okay, through the Higgs field. It was discovered in 2007 or 8, I'm not really sure, but it was hypothesized back in the day, maybe 1930, 1940, some brilliant people, 1950, I have no idea. But they basically found it. I will not get into exactly how they found it because it would be too long. This video will be too long, but essentially, this Higgs field was discovered. And it permeates space and time, which means it's absolutely everywhere. In my body, in the air, between the camera, here in my phone, in my voice, absolutely everywhere in the universe. Maybe not in black holes, but I have no idea what happens there. Well, I have, but it's not a video about black holes in it. And now we'll get to vibration and energy. Listen to that. No, to vibration and frequency, the most used terms in the law of attraction. Now, what happens? Before we even get into how elementary particles gain their weight, gain their mass or weight, let's say, we have to see how do they even come into existence. Because think about it, there is absolutely nothing, only Higgs field. Imagine just some field, empty space, completely empty space. And all of a sudden, from nothing, now you have an electron, now you have a proton, now you have a quark. W quark, what? Some quark. But how do you have it? From nothing it comes. From this quantum field, from the Higgs field. Now, if you want to have an electron, you need an electron Higgs field. Fine, you need an electron Higgs field, which will give the existence somewhere, we don't know when, where, but it will give the existence of an electron, which is, it has to have the correct property. It's a wave with frequency, and vibration. You know, here is the interesting part. Now, it's 0.511 VAG, I don't know, electron gigawatts, I'm not really sure, but it has to have this quantity, this property, charge, however you call it, and when it does, this electron will come into existence and it will pop out of existence extremely fast. You may not even detect it. This wave, electron Higgs boson wave, will create electrons pop in and out of existence on random spots, and they will disappear very, very, very quickly. But as they still exist, they will vibrate, and this whole wave of electrons popping in and out of existence, vibrating, they will have a frequency. And this whole wave has a frequency, which is measured in the electron volts or something, not really sure. But now, if you want them to stay, because we see there are electrons, there are so many atoms, and we can see, hold up, atoms are creating everything, atoms need electrons, so this means there has to be some mechanism by which the electrons stay, and you're correct. You have the electron wave, then you have the proton wave, you may have a quark wave, you may have some other wave, Higgs wave, which will create protons, which will create quarks. When they interact, this is when the magic happens. When they interact, this is when they become energized. And depending on which wave interacts with, it will create either a single electron, two electrons, because it may have, remember, 0.511 of this energy, I will just call it, or it may create two of this, 1022, then it will create two electrons. But it may also create, if different waves interact with each other, they will energize, they will create a proton, they will initially create quarks, so on and so on. And this is how the creation starts. And when elementary particles again interact with the Higgs field by this energetic conversion and energy excitation, they gain mass. When they gain mass, now they have energy, now they exist. Most elementary particles have mass and they interact with the Higgs field. But for example, we're not really sure about neutrinos. They may have some mass, they most likely have some mass, but we know about the photon, which is the particle of light, the elementary particle of light, which happens to move with the speed of light. But if you have mass, you can't travel with the speed of light, because for example the electron has some very small mass, but it still has some mass. Its value is not zero, And so when it moves through space, it gains mass. It will never reach the speed of light, because the faster it moves, it will also gain mass, not only because of its kinetic energy, because of the speed, but because it also interacts with the Higgs field and other particles and other electrons. It will never reach the speed of light, but the photon is something we don't understand. Why it does not. So the reason the speed of light is the speed of light is because photons don't interact with the Higgs field. They move through space as if there is no Higgs field. As you want to say, in another dimension, even though it's incorrect, don't use it. They have their own mind. They just move. They don't care. And now we've discussed that. And what's interesting, this Higgs field gives mass to all the universe, which constitutes only 1% of the total mass of the universe. 1%. Where do the other 99%? And I'm not even talking about antimatter, anti-gravity. Not that. I have not touched that. I talk about the standard model of all matter, anything. This 1% from the Higgs field, 99% from the strong nuclear force. What are the four fundamental forces in the universe, which are gravity, electromagnetism, strong nuclear force, and weak nuclear force? The strong nuclear force, as we know, in the nuclei of the atom, the atom and the nuclei is the core of the atom. Around the nuclei, there are the electrons. Inside, we have the protons and the quarks. But the protons inside the nuclei are positively charged. And as I said earlier, even in the cores of stars, you need extremely high kinetic energy to collide them, because they repel. I remember that it was some insane number of only 2 protons repelling of each other. Some insane number for only 2 minuscule particles. And the way these protons are held together in the nuclei of the atom, they repel, but with the strong nuclear force, they are held together. How? Now, there is a boson field. No, a gluon field, sorry. There is a gluon field, which is a particle and a field in the same time, which is a transmitter. And this holds the protons together, and especially it holds the quarks together, which make the proton itself, and also not the electrons, but yeah, they make the protons together. And fun fact, the gluon, because it's a quantum particle, is a particle and wave at the same time as the photon is, as light is. And what happens? Exactly, the mechanism is there is quantum chromodynamics. This is the charge, the slight charge of the quarks, represented, just named to recognize them somehow, red, green and blue in the quarks. And they have slight charges. When we say blue, we know what charge we talk about, and green and red, etc. We know what charge we talk about, and their composition, their movement in this gluon field and this gluon particle, which is in the nuclei of the atom, this is what holds the atom itself, and with this quantum chromodynamics. This is how it gains mass and energy, weight. This is how energy comes in all that we know in this universe. Everything we know about the universe comes from the Higgs boson and the gluon, which, by the way, scientists believe that it may also travel with the speed of light, but we don't know because it's impossible to test it, because if you want to test it, then you have to destroy the whole atom. The moment you test it, the atom will be gone. You can't get into it, you can't get a hold of it. But anyway, you see how there is much more to the universe and to everything in general. Why do you think I made this video? I didn't want to appear intelligent or something. No, I'm not. I barely could explain anything here, but the reason I did it is because science is ultimate truth and test. You can't lie to a scientist. It's very difficult to lie to a scientist because it will make you more perceptive. Fair. You can trust in whatever you want. You can trust in whatever religion. You can trust in whatever politics. You can trust in the law of attraction. If it helps you, that's great. Most times it doesn't. It's not as effective. It will not bring you the results you want. This is why you have to be perceptive. If you are easily convinced in an idea which has not been tested well enough, or you're not just perceptive, you don't use your own mind to even do a research, 2 minutes, 1 minute research on Google, or even ask ChatGPT. What is the shape of the earth? What is energy? Why is the sky blue? Because of the different wavelengths. Doesn't matter, but this is why the sky is blue. This is why the universe is expanding faster. This is why it gains speed. This is why a black hole is this. This is why Earth is a spheroid, it's not flat. You can research it. And very important, when you research it, it may not be the truth. Most likely it will be, because science don't lie. But you may find some source which is incorrect. And then you have to do your own research, use the power of your mind to see if they're telling the truth or not. This is what I have been doing for a lot of time, and it's very difficult to convince me the coronavirus was real, that you can't make money, that you have to be mediocre. Nah, stop with this. This is why it's very, very, very important to go to science. Just read about science, read an article. You will see how much more perceptive of the world you will be, and you will be so much harder to be deceived. Because I'll tell you what, if you want to be hated, YouTube is not your place. I would say not YouTube, but content creation is not your place. You think content creation, self-improvement, business tips are difficult? You think rejection from a beautiful girl is difficult, or you've seen nothing? Become a scientist, have a hypothesis. Hypothesis is an idea which is testable, not an idea like Earth is flat. This is an idea, this is a suggestion, this is insanity. It can't be tested. You take out more than 1,000 years, 2,000 years. People have known the shape of Earth with precision. Not with exact precision as we know it now, but fairly similar to what it is. They knew so much more. You're ignorant. Why? And I'll finish with, there was one guy, from Bulgaria. I remember this. When I used to work in a calling center from Plovdiv here to my hometown, I drove and I reached my home, parked in front of it. It was 1:30 a.m. and I found a live that this guy was on live who says the earth is flat and whatnot, some crazy stuff. When I see these people, I see they have absolutely no idea what's going on. They have not done single research. He says gravity is not real. He says it's some electromagnetic, even though I said electromagnetism, gravity, strong and weak nuclear force, they're fundamental forces, even though gravity is not exactly a force, but anyway. So he doesn't know nothing. He has not done research. It's not bad. It's not bad. It's forgivable when you don't know something. I don't know anything. I don't know everything. But when you don't want to see what the truth is, to know for yourself, to use the ready information from so many brilliant minds, what are you doing? You tell people Earth is flat. Come on, bro. I have to restrict myself from watching this person. I have actually restricted myself because I get infuriated. How can you say Earth is flat, bro? This is insane. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I believe this video will help you. I believe from this point on, you will see things with more caution, from a different angle, because not everything is what it appears to be. Not everything you see on media is what it is. Not every scientific theory is a theory, because a theory is something that's already been tested. You can make extremely accurate precisions with it. It has mathematical equations, and it's just accurate. Tested not only from you, from multiple scientists, devices, millions, billions invested into testing your theory when it turned out to be true. Theory of relativity. It's not a theory, it's not an idea. It works. It definitely does work. And I'll finish with the holy grail right now in science is to unite the quantum mechanics, quantum physics with relativity. Research it. It's very interesting and it will make you even more perceptive of the world. This is Prosperity Wolf. Thank you for watching this video and get to work.